Imagine the murmur of an ancient city under Roman rule, the sound of soldiers' boots hitting the dusty streets, and the flicker of torches casting long shadows against towering walls. This is Jerusalem, a city on edge, thrumming with tension and unrest. In its midst stands a man caught between two worlds, Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor of Judea. His name is known to many, forever linked to one of history's most infamous trials. But Pilate's story is one of political intrigue, fear, and moral conflict, a haunting reminder of how the choices we make can reverberate across centuries. Our story begins not in Jerusalem, but in the heart of the Roman Empire, in Italy. Born into the Roman equestrian order, Pilate was neither a noble senator nor a common soldier. His family was influential, respected, yet just a step below the aristocracy. This social rank gave him a measure of privilege, but left him hungry for power. The Roman Empire offered men like him a path to greatness, if they could navigate its treacherous politics. And Pilate, ambitious and determined, was willing to try. Through political maneuvering and possibly some well-placed alliances, Pilate's career began to climb. His path eventually led him to an assignment in Judea, a volatile region under Roman control since 63 BCE. This was no ordinary appointment. Judea was a hotspot, a province thick with religious fervor and resentment towards Rome. For Pilate, it was both a test of his abilities and an opportunity. Little did he know, his name would be seared into history for what he would face there. The religious beliefs of the Jewish people were vastly different from Rome's pantheon of gods, and their unique practices often puzzled and frustrated Roman officials. Pilate, like his predecessors, was tasked with maintaining Roman order and enforcing the emperor's will. But the position wasn't without its risks. Governors had to balance their allegiance to Rome with the need to manage local discontent, and Pilate's iron-fisted approach only added to the tension. For the people of Judea, he was a foreign ruler who represented an oppressive power, a man who imposed Roman law, taxes, and customs on a people who longed for freedom. Then came the moment that would forever change the course of Pilate's life. The man named Jesus of Nazareth, a figure revered by some and feared by others, had been brought before him. Pilate, who had dealt with countless criminals, found himself face to face with someone who defied every expectation. Jesus did not plead or beg. He stood silent and composed, an enigma, his very presence unsettling to the hardened Roman. Pilate could see that the charges, blasphemy and sedition, were shaky at best, but the crowds were demanding justice, or what they believed was justice. The days that followed were tense. Pilate's wife, Claudia Procula, reportedly had a troubling dream about Jesus. She was haunted by visions of the consequences her husband might face if he condemned this man. Despite her fear, Pilate dismissed her concerns, caught between his role as a judge and the growing unrest outside. To buy time, Pilate sent Jesus to Herod, hoping the local ruler would decide Jesus' fate and spare him the burden. But Herod refused to get involved, sending Jesus back to Pilate. Pilate was left with a choice, but it was far from simple. As tensions peaked, the city felt as though it might ignite into chaos. The religious leaders demanded Jesus' death, claiming he was a threat to both their faith and Roman authority. Pilate saw through their motives. He knew they feared Jesus' influence more than they feared Rome. The tension was palpable as he deliberated, feeling trapped between loyalty to Rome and the moral weight of an innocent man's life. In a last attempt to avoid making the decision himself, Pilate offered the crowd a choice. As was custom during the Passover festival, he could release one prisoner. He presented them with two options: Jesus, a peaceful teacher, and Barabbas, a notorious criminal guilty of violence and rebellion. Pilate was certain the people would choose Jesus, the harmless figure, over a known killer. But to his astonishment, they chose Barabbas, shouting for Jesus' crucifixion with a fervor that shook him to his core. The crowd's response unsettled Pilate deeply. His wife's warnings, the city's unrest, the pressure from the religious leaders, all weighed heavily on him. Desperate to absolve himself, he ordered a basin of water to be brought before the crowd. There, under the burning gaze of the people and his soldiers, Pilate washed his hands, declaring, "I am innocent of this man's blood." Yet as he made this gesture, a sense of foreboding settled over him. His symbolic act could not erase the reality that he had condemned an innocent man. After Jesus' crucifixion, Pilate's career took a dark turn. The events of that day lingered in the public consciousness, fueling rumors and stirring resentment. Historical records describe Pilate as becoming increasingly ruthless, reportedly ordering the slaughter of Galileans and quashing revolts with brutal force. Tensions boiled over when he ordered an attack on a group of Samaritans, leading to complaints that reached Rome. Summoned back to the capital, Pilate faced accusations of excessive violence and poor governance. But fate dealt him another twist. As he arrived in Rome, Emperor Tiberius lay on his deathbed, and with him went any chance Pilate had of redemption. Stripped of his title and disgraced, Pilate was exiled to Gaul, what is now modern-day France. Accounts of his final days vary. Some say he languished in obscurity, others claim he took his own life in despair. One early historian, Eusebius, writes that Pilate's end came by suicide, haunted by the ghosts of his past decisions. Yet some scholars believe he may have simply faded into obscurity, a footnote in Roman history. But in the hearts of many, Pilate remains a figure shrouded in moral ambiguity and haunted by the echoes of a decision made in fear. His life serves as a powerful reminder of how a single choice, born of self-preservation and political convenience, can shape a legacy forever. Today, his story compels us to ask, could Pilate have done differently? What drove him to the decision he made? And did he ever find peace with the burden of it? Such questions remain unanswered, lost in the shadows of history. Yet the story endures, challenging us to reflect on the interplay of power, morality, and courage in the face of impossible choices. If you found this story intriguing, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support the channel and stay updated with more stories from Bible Truth Diggers.